We're at NQ Live. We're going to see Pre-77, Soil and Fozzy. We've got three members of Pre-77 here before they actually finish off the sound check. How's it going, guys? Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do in the band?
I'm Paul and I sing.
I'm Danny, guitar.
I'm Joyce, drums.
Okay, do you want to tell us about the writing of the new album? It's out next year, is it? 2013?
Yeah, coming out on February 25th.
Okay. We've got a name for the album yet?
The Evil Inside.
Brilliant name.
Cool name.
Yeah, basically it's about the darker side of human nature. Something that I think everyone has inside and manifests itself in very different ways. Not all of us end up being axe murderers and psychopaths, but I'm sure there's times when we wish we could be, and it just deals with pretty much like the darker side of the human condition. And yeah, it's a more rockier affair, I think, than our previous outing, Insects, and really excited about getting to play those tracks.
So you go back to the sound of like culture and all that kind of stuff.
I think it's not so much like we never go back to anything. I think we've progressed into something like where we can we're still rocking out, but I think it's just more darker and maybe comes from a more blues orientated bass. And songwriting wise, but like for us it's always going to be a progression. This is like it's next step really.
Okay, do you want to tell us about the first single off the album then, Drown?
It's out for free.
I played it last week on the show. It's fantastic. I love it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Do you want to tell us about the story behind the song Drown then?
It's very much, how do I put this? Drown is kind of like the statement to self when it's kind of like a conversation with yourself about how low you go. It's about wallowing down in the lowest of the lows. It's it's about
Pause.
Sorry about that. Stop. Have to get
Famous.
famous. I was famous before. Somebody else wants to get Dave as well, so you've got a bad spot where you.
Yeah. Just come through anyway. Quick into the
Guys, try doing it here instead of our
We'll change places.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, you want to tell us about the song Drown?
Drown is very much in keeping with the whole kind of feeling of the album.
Okay.
It's a kind of a statement of self when you've reached kind of rock bottom and you're wallowing in the lowest of the low, and kind of just being, I don't know, in a twisted way, very satisfied in being down there and not really doing anything to get yourself out, but just, I don't know, just getting in with the dirt. It's like getting low down and dirty, and I think there's a lot of things. It's a lot of what we accept, I think, in our daily lives now.
Yeah,
we're not specifically at the place we want to be at, but you come to accept, like your fate, and then you wallow in it. And in some ways, you tend to enjoy it. You become a sucker for punishment.
Okay, do you want to tell us a bit more about the album? How many tracks are on the album?
11? 11. Yeah, I think 11. We don't do very well with maths, that's why we're in a band.
One thing I did like about the album Culture is that you had a few acoustic tracks. Have you got a few acoustic tracks on this? Is that all heavy?
Oh, well, we don't have a specifically acoustic track, but we do have ballads on the record. And of course we've always got our acoustic guitars are always out, and we're always kind of mixing it up with everything we do. So that there's a lot of color, there's a lot of light and shade, and all sorts going on in the record.
Okay, so where do you think you've come from recording your first album to now? What's changed in the band? Have you got? Members have obviously changed, but I mean the sound of the band. How has it changed since the first album?
With our first album, it's really a collection of a bunch of songs that we were working on for a good 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And it's basically like every album is really a snapshot of where we're at, and we're constantly progressing. And if we put out more albums, there would be more steps in this progression.
Yeah.
We're constantly experimenting with different things. We're easily bored with music, so we've always we always want to push the envelope. And
are you one of them bands that actually change it up live? you get bored and you change up a little bit live every
Everybody's. I think everyone's always putting their own individual.
Well, we make
flourishes,
little adaptations to for the songs and to our own instruments as well. But
yeah, it needs to remain freeform and organic, you know.
Yeah.
That's why we never, you know, like we're not a band to play with samples behind us because we couldn't keep to anything that's timed. Everything's gonna it could change. It could change at any time. But for us, you know, everything it's always been like a steady progression of discovering, you know, like a different music that we want to either expose or that we're being exposed to at that particular time. Sometimes, you know, we may be listening to very different things. In some records, you know, like we're listening to a lot of Radiohead and Bob Marley, and another record we're listening to stuff like as diverse as, I don't know, man, from Wagner to like Julio Iglesias. This could be anything. So we've got
I never thought the lead singer of Breed 77 would listen to Julio Iglesias. There you go.
There
you go. I never knew that about your mouth.
You would be very surprised if you were to look through my iPod. But anyhow, I think you know, like for the albums to remain interesting and kind of true to ourselves. They have to be a representation of where we're at that moment, and you know, we're all organic creatures. We discover new bands, we discover old bands, we find out we don't really like this kind of stuff anymore, and you get onto some other kind of stuff. And what you're trying to do is, you know, for us, we want to put less thought, and just it's got to be impulsive. It's got to be something that just comes from within, and whatever spills out, at least it's honest, you know, and that's what we're about at that moment. But we've always been, you know, like since the word go, we've always wanted to model ourselves on bands like Zeppelin, who were like chameleons in that, you know, they could adapt. And you know, like Led Zeppelin 3 is very acoustic, whereas, you know, like 2 is a full-on rocker, and then like they go crazy on physical graffiti. There's like, you know, there's different sides to a band. Like human beings like all kinds of different music. You know, they're not defined by a genre, and that's what we've always tried to do. I think very slowly we're trying to, instead of change genre, you know, like we love metal, we love rock, we love music. We just want to, like, you try and transcend them, and it's purely by accident, because we couldn't really kind of engineer it in another way, because we don't engineer it, it just happens.
Okay, influences. I know you said you've just got a wide spectrum of influences. From what to what?
I don't know, Josie.
I don't know. When Breed 77, I don't know. Basically, because they come from Gibraltar, and that's where the gem of the band is, and so obviously you can tell. I joined the band recently, like 2 years ago, and when I had to learn the songs and study and go through it, I noticed that you can, because I lived in south of Spain as well, Andalusia, and you can tell that in their music they have the influences from North Africa and from the flamenco and Andalusia, and then obviously like that adapted to rock and heavy metal, which is what influences, you know, all of us and gets us together, what unites us, and within rock and heavy metal, I don't know, it's different with 5 people and everyone has their different tastes, but all combined results in Breed 77. I think we work really well together, and the music comes out as a result.
Okay, so talking about the album again, what have people got to look forward to for the new album? I know it's going to be heavier than, you said it's going to be heavier than anything you've done before, is that what you're going to say?
It's always heavier and softer. Every single album you gotta hit new extremes.
Yeah.
Hit new extremes. I think it's a tap your foot album, it's a bounce around album, it's our most introspective work, especially lyrically and sonically. I think, you know, it's very dark. So it's I think it feels complete to us, you know, in that we like to have a lot of light and shade. As I said before, we want to have some like all kinds of songs on the album, and it feels rather complete in that, you know, we've got songs pretty much, well, still keeping pretty depressed and low, which I think is pretty realistic in this day and age.
Especially in the double recession.
Yeah, it's we've managed, I think, to include enough light on the album, you know, so it's not grim.
Yeah.
It's not grim. It's again, it's a snapshot of where like Breed 77's world's at. But at the same time, you know, it needs to be a ride. It's like a journey, and you know, we're reaching new heights and just just sludging through new lows as well. So we tried loads of new things out. Like there's an extra string on some guitars on this album. There's let me see. I don't know, like in a way, there's also a back to basics kind of ambience to it, in that it feels very live, and I don't know. I think it's just going to be a stonker. There's just every track you listen that we're getting back from the studio. Think, oh, that's going to be awesome. Like that's going to be killer. That's going to destroy it. Oh, I want to put that with headphones. Oh, you need to smoke a spliff with that. Oh my God, put on the acid. What's going on? And there's a lot of experience, and that's really what we want to create. You know, we want to try and and still permeate like music is about fantasy. It's about the escapism. It's about all this stuff that seems like, you know, it's in the netherworld, but at the same time it's so important in the real world. Like there's generations now growing up where their musical kind of experience is X Factor and crap like that, and people need to be reminded music is important. Music is super important.
Ignore the mainstream. That's what
exactly.
I've always done that. Ignore the mainstream and always look underground, because you're going to find a brilliant band.
Yeah. No,
and there's so many unsigned bands as well out there that need to be heard.
Exactly. No, but the thing is that, like, for there to carry on being that all those bands out there, music has to retain its meaning. People have to, you know, like, you only suffer for something, you know, if it actually means something. And I think, you know, like, that's what we try and stay true to in the greatest way.
Okay, talk about unsigned bands. Is there any bands that have caught your attention that you think might make it big?
Whew. I don't know, George is probably better. You've probably seen much more than I have.
Well, in the London scene has a few very good bands. Like when it comes to rock, like there are some upcoming bands, really good ones like 4 Wheel Drive are definitely working hard to get up there. Hornet as well. Hornet from Hastings, and well, Sacred Mother Tongue definitely.
Oh, yeah,
one of the metal bands that I can see like coming up soon enough. There's quite a few. I don't know. I'm a promoter, so I get to see all these bands every weekend. It's hard to keep track with the names, but there's definitely a good scene to come if these bands carry on working hard, obviously.
Okay, so you started in Stoke last night. How was it last night? Was it good?
Cold.
Cold.
It was cold. Like, it was like in the venue with your hoodie, with your woolly hat, like sold out, and still it was freezing. It was, but as I said, sold out, killer show. All the teething problems that are associated with the first day, you know, as long as by 12 o'clock midnight, an hour after the show, everyone's forgotten about them, that means the day went well. And it was a cool night.
Okay, so you're looking forward to Manchester tonight then?
Hell yeah. We love Manchester.
Hell yeah.
And we hope Manchester loves us.
Truthfully, I'm going to tell you a story. The last time I saw you live was on the tour, and I did a stage dive and whacked my head off the barrier in Academy 2. So I'm never doing a stage dive again. That's the first time I ever did a stage dive, and I'm never going to do it again.
So yeah, I
just stood at the side of the stage for like 10 minutes, like, oh.
So we broke you in.
Yeah.
Great made an impact in your life.
And it still didn't find his brains.
Impact in your head.
So where are you next after today?
Birmingham
tomorrow.
And then where else?
Glasgow.
Birmingham, Glasgow, somewhere, Wales,
London.
Plymouth, London,
Oh,
somewhere, Brighton.
You're at Hard Rock Hell, are you? I forgot about that.
Hard Rock Hell Sunday.
You're looking forward to that? Is there any bands you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Ugly Kid Joe are doing it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Looking forward to doing that. Like Luke, who's tour managing this tour, has been out with Ugly Kid Joe and stuff. So like, you know, like probably get to meet the guys and, you know, and hang out and see what it is. It's always a laugh, you know, like deepest darkest Wales.
All right. To the show's listeners, do you want to sell the album and tell us when it's out and what to expect from it?
Our new album, The Evil Inside, will be out on the 25th of February 2013. We will be releasing a single previous to that and a video. The machines have just begun rolling, like it's rolling to a town near you. Something wicked this way comes.
All I've got to say is 2013, the year of Pre-77.
Oh, we hope so.
Fingers crossed. Cheers for that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Is there any chance we can have a quick picture? Is that